Umpire Ted Hendry ejects both Kelly Downs and Carlos Martinez. Then Martinez says, well, I'm going to be ejected. I'm going to get a piece of Downs. Martinez tackled by Scott Heeman. Martinez upset about an inside pitch. The A's thought that the Indians were rubbing it in, being up so comfortably in this game. Bench-clearing brawl occurred in the 9th in Colorado. It's Mike Jackson hitting Gerald Clark for the second time on the evening. Clark was hit 3 times in this series. Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds getting involved in a scuffle that would ensue. Both Bonds and his father were ejected, as were Gerald Clark and Colorado's first base coach Ron Hassey. The Giants, by the way, picked up the victory.
Steve Farr trying to save it and finish off the Brewers and Kevin Reimer. Reimer bounces it back at Farr. Now watch at first as he throws. Looks like a little elbow here on Leyritz. So Reimer and Leyritz go at each other, and everybody comes out from the 2 dugouts. No punches thrown. The fans hollering things at the Brewers. And security called upon. Even Jamie Navarro upset. Maybe somebody called him Jaime Navarro. More on Brett's magic moment in a moment. Bottom of the 8th, but Chardo a little too close. And here comes Albert Bell charging the mound, and then McFarland tackles Bell. Watch Bell slug away at McFarland. Albert doing a little venting here as Kansas City ended up beating up on the Indians.
Now, here comes Curtis out against Sprague. We've got a fight. We've got the benches empty. The bullpens will empty. Chad Curtis and Ed Sprague in a shouting match, and a brawl is broken out here at the Big A. Chuck Finley was in it in a hurry, and everybody will go at it down the left field line in foul territory. After a warning to Pat Hinkin for hitting Curtis, Salmon a home run on the next pitch, and then a shouting match. It was Chad Curtis who ran out. Ed Sprague, the third baseman, ran over, and they got in initially.
Fazio working to Harold Reynolds. Behind him as well. A purpose pitch? Reynolds might think so. So, you guessed it, top of the 7th. Mussina throwing to Hasselman. Stanford to UCLA, right? Here we go. Hasselman is out. Mussina stood there and took it, and everybody out. Out of the dugout, out of the bullpen. Umpires tried to break it up early. Forget it. This will go on for 20 minutes. It was a doozy. The first brawl ever at Camden Yards. They'll be right. Yeah, not a lot of guys left on the dugout. Here's one pileup. Everybody out. Here's Mussina, looking like a prize fighter. And then Jeff Nelson, aptly named, throws a full Nelson. And another round of brawls ensue. It looks like it might end. Elrod, Johnny Oates, and some of the Oriole brass out in the middle. Look like it might end. But then, we start again. In foul ground on the third baseline. Leo Gomez and Mackie Sasser exchanging dinner reservation plans. And here we go again. Finally, here's Arthur Rose. Finally out of the stands come the gendarmes. Norm Charlton wants to go. It's only going 15 minutes. We need to go 20. And he does. Charlton finds someone. He goes at it with Alan Mills. Jeff Tackett being served by his cut man. Lou Piniella. It's up and good. It's good. Lou gets the boot. 8 players tossed.
The Dodgers and the Padres, and Gary Sheffield hit on a 3-1 pitch. Rick Chilicek gets charged. First time that's ever happened. The bench is empty. Fines and possible suspensions to be determined.
Martinez decides to plunk Charlie Hayes, and yes, the festivities begin. And I mean, see, look at Ramon. He's smart. He's a string bean. Of course he's running away from Hayes. Hayes had to be restrained by Eric Gregg. As a matter of fact, everyone had to be restrained by Eric Gregg. Look at Strawberry. I thought he had a bad back. Hayes thrown out, so was Martinez. There, 3. Next batter, Keith Shepard, decides to clock Corey Snyder. And then dares to say, come on, Corey, come on and get it. Come on. You got to be kidding, Keith Shepard. But here he comes, and yes, here comes Darryl back in there, bad back and all. It's a good thing you go to therapy. That's bad back therapy. Anyway, here we go. Shepard thrown out. Don Baylor had to be thrown out for the 2nd straight game. What a great game.
6-2, top 9th, it's Palmero. Ain't gonna hit that one out. Rick Reed at his knee. The bench is clear. Kevin Kennedy, a few words for Mr. Reed. And he also goes toe-to-toe and jaw-to-jaw with Hal McRae. Rangers do win it.
Meanwhile, bottom of the 8th, 9 for Royals when Bob Patterson sends a message and hits Brian McRae in the back. McRae says, forget about Patterson. I'm after the manager, Kevin Kennedy. And he looks and tries to get him and never gets. And the bench is clear for a 2nd straight day. Brian McRae needed to be restrained. Kevin Kennedy not happy with what he sees. He's happy that McRae didn't get him. And McRae and Patterson thrown out.
Score. Garcia already with 2 homers gets hit on the hand by Bob Scanlon. Payback? Yes, it is. Rossmacher behind Mark Race. The benches were clear. Al Martin had some words for Scanlon. Everyone had words for everyone else. Jim Leland says his team is cautious about getting into situations like these. Miner, Scanlon, and Al Martin were ejected. After all the touching and shoving and pushing, we had the calmer heads.
The very next half inning, Robin Ventura run-scoring single early. He aged 26, Nolan Ryan aged 46. Was he throwing at him? Robin thinks about it and says yes. And watch. And count. Nolan, 6 consecutive punches to the face, and then everyone gets involved in the melee. Ryan just grabbed him like he's gonna grab a steer when he brands him, right? 6 consecutive punches, and then the melee ensued after that. The amazing thing in all of this, Ventura was tossed because he charged him out. He should have been, but Nolan was not, despite throwing enough punches to get you thrown out of an NHL.
We take you in Kevin Gross in the 3rd inning facing Kevin Young.
It's lower than that.
A purpose pitch hits him in the base of the neck. Next half inning, Kevin Gross gets his turn at the plate. And Bob Walk doing what pitchers are supposed to do to protect their own. And Walk is ejected after beaning Gross. Jim Leland's not happy. He comes out to argue and promptly gets tossed. Leland has words with Kevin Gross. Gross would later say, maybe it's frustration, maybe he hates me. I wasn't trying to throw at anybody. Leland being restrained in this one. That was as ugly as it would get in this one. Andy Van Slyke, who's been on the disabled list for most of the year coming out, trying to pull Leland back.
And A's between the 9th and 10th. Dennis Eckersley thought he was being squeezed by Dale Scott, and Scott throws Eckersley out of the game. Tony La Russa comes out and argued for quite some time, and then Phil Garner came out, and then everybody came out.
Here comes Troy Neal, and he went in and he knocked
Troy
out
Neal goes after Dickie Thon. Watch the lower left. Tommy Reynolds connecting with Brewers coach Tim Foley. The big hit as Edwin Nunez takes a punch at B.J. Surhoff. And then Mark McGuire has to be restrained. A 25-minute delay, and the end result, a bloody face for B.J. They went.
The Lows winless in his last 5 starts after winning 6 straight to open his career. Now flashback to '85. Boston's Bruce Keeson facing the Blue Jays' George Bell. And this, of course, led to the now infamous Bell karate kick. No lessons needed. So as George changed, Red Sox, White Sox meeting at Comiskey. Aaron Seeley on the mound for Boston facing George Bell. Bottom of the 2nd, a little brush back, high inside pitch. George stares back. Next pitch, Seeley gets closer. In fact, he hits him, and George charges the mound. Bell takes a swing at him. He hits nothing but air, and then the brawl ensues, everyone getting into it. Bell would be the only one ejected. If you watch on the replay, if you have to be a pitcher, it would be nice to have Mo Vaughn as your first baseman. There you see the miss, and there you see the hit by Mo Vaughn. Now to the Mariano Duncan. Look out, Mariano. Castillo comes high with it. Castillo tossed right away. The fight follows. Bench is clear. Everyone looking for that new call up from AAA, you know, the 112-pound backup second baseman. The umpires decide to toss Duncan as well as Castillo.